Hello, hello, hello. Just making some house cleaning uh, adjustments here. This webcam I have has the ability to autofocus, which is something interesting. And so always have to remember to turn it off. So let's get into our topic today, focusing on acting. I've not been doing too much content on acting, and this one will talk about the simplicity over intellectualizing the craft of acting. So, simplicity over intellectualizing the craft of acting. Let's get into the first topic. I have my list here, as I always do, going to give you my planned out list topic and then go into a little explanation. Acting is doing, not explaining. If you can explain the scene better than you can behave in it, you're thinking too much. So that means if you're explaining the scene and you're able to do a better job explaining the scene than you are actually performing in the scene, you're doing something wrong. You're focusing more on the intellectual part of why you're doing what you're doing, why this character is here, what the motivation is. All that is stuff that you have to do. All that is stuff that you have to do on your own time. And that's stuff that lives in the background. That is the subtext that lives behind your performance. So that's one thing I want to get clear with new actors, that you're going to do a character background. You're going to do all the research on the character, where he went to school, where they lived, how old he is, all kinds of stuff. You can get real deep into doing character background analysis and making sure you have a full, planned out, realistic character. And all that stuff is for you. It remains in the background so that your character can be real, so that you can have a real character. You're not trying to bring that content onto the set as you're performing and trying to show it. That's where the mistake comes in. That causes stiff acting. That causes unrealistic acting. That causes an actor to not be believable. So realize that that preparation you do, you have to do it. It's important. It's built into you as an actor preparing for a role. Character background, where they went to school, how long did they study martial arts? How long were they in the military? You know, how long was she married? How long was he married? When did they get the divorce? What led to the divorce? All that is great stuff for an actor to develop. But that stuff you do on your own. That stuff you do behind the scenes. A lot of it won't ever be seen. That is so that you, as an actor, can bring this character to life. You can make this a three-dimensional, real, living human being, not just a cardboard cutout like we see in a lot of projects. Um, so remember that acting is doing, not explaining. Okay, let's go to the next one. Truth reads faster than cleverness. Audiences don't respond to how smart your choices are, they respond to whether they believe them or not. Again, those things that you would consider clever or your choices, uh, the audience doesn't care about that. That's for you. That's for you to help you bring that character to life. That's the actor's business. That remains behind the scenes. That's not something you bring to the set and you try to show. That's not something you try to get, on stage with and try to make that known. Oh, look how much background I did on this character. That has nothing to do with your performance on stage. Well, it does, but it's behind the scenes. It's personal, it's internal. That's your inner monologue that's driving you, that's making you believe this character, that's helping you bring this character to life. So be aware of that. Truth is much more important than being clever, trying to find some gimmick or some uh, movement or something that you want to do to show that you worked on the character. That's not necessary. You want to be truthful. Truth is the most powerful thing in acting, whether it be stage, whether it's film, whether it's in the park, whether it's acting in a dinner theater. Truthfulness is what makes the audience believe you. It is what brings your character to life. And that's what you have to focus on, the truthfulness of your character. Okay, let's go to the next one. Over analyzing kills instinct. Preparation is important, but once the scene starts, thinking must give way to responding. Thinking must give way to responding. So you're going to prepare on your own. You're going to prepare this character. You're going to bring this character to life. You're going to know everything about this character. You're going to think about things. You're going to, and these aren't things, when I say that, these aren't things that you have to study, like you're learning your lines or something like that. These are things that you want to, it's like in your real life. There's so many things in your real life that you don't think about every day. But when you're preparing for a character, a lot of things you need to think about, they aren't the things you're going to carry on the set, but they're there. They're in your memory. They're helping you bring this character to life. They're helping you make this character three-dimensional. They're helping you make it believable. But you don't want to overanalyze because it kills your instinct. You're trying to think of, now, what did I say he did? Or how did he walk? Or how did he talk? When he gets upset, how does she do this? Well, why does she do? No, no. You want to live truthfully. You want to use your instincts. You want to listen to what the other character is saying to you, and you want to react to it in real time. You want to react to what's being said to you. That is how a character comes to life. You want to respond to what's being said to you. You want to respond to the situation. You want to respond to the feelings. If you're in a fight, you want to respond to that. If you're in emotional turmoil, you want to respond to it. If you're calm and relaxed, you want to respond to the environment you're in. That is what brings your character to life, not what you did on your own time, preparing for the character. Preparation is important. Preparation is important. I can't say it enough. But the preparation is personal. It's for you. It stays with you, inside you, and helps you feel confident that you know who this character is. So I know sometimes you'll do a lot of preparation, and you, as a new actor, you'll want to show it. You want to show that you worked on your character and you did a character breakdown, and you know where he went to school. You know everything about her. You know how many men she's been with. You know how many women he's been with. You know how many. What was his first kiss? What was her first kiss? You know all the details. But that's for you. That's not something you have to show. That is the internal life of your character. And that is personal. That's preparation. You don't want to over-analyze it. It's going to kill your performance. Okay, let's go to the next one. Listening solves most acting problems. Listen to this closely. When actors struggle, it's usually because they're waiting to speak instead of truly listening. That's so true. So true. Because if you've done the work to memorize your character's lines, and the only thing you're doing on the set or in the scene is waiting to say those lines, and you're not listening to the other actor or actress who's talking to you, you're not real. You're not going to appear real. It's not going to come across real. You're going to look stiff. You're going to look wooden. You're going to look fake. You're going to look phony. You want to really listen. You want to be alive in that scene. That's what I'm trying to say. This is something that comes with experience. This comes with doing. That's why I always say, get together with some friends and act out scenes. If you're in a project, if you have someone who you can work with on that scene, act it out before you get there. You might not get time on the set to rehearse. So you want to act that scene out. You want to forget about what stereotypical things you may have thought of as you're going through your preparation. Preparation is a lot of steps. We're going to talk about that somewhere down the road, not right now. But preparation, again, is personal. That's for you. You're not trying to bring that preparation to the set. You want to, on the set, be real, be alive. This situation is real. That's what you're focusing on. And so if someone's speaking to you, just like in real life, you really listen. You listen and you respond. You listen to what they're saying and you respond to what they're saying. Forget about, I'm not saying throw your preparation away, but the preparation is internal. The preparation is internal. And as you go through this, and you do more work and you do more acting on stage and you do more acting in rehearsals, you do more acting on film, uh, in scenes that you put together and you're shooting with your cell phone. That's why I always stress that. That's why I continue to talk about that because it's so important to do as much as you can and get that experience. The only way you're going to get it is by being in scenes with other actors and realizing I don't have to do so much. I have to be real. I'm taking the lines that were written for me and I'm delivering those lines as if they were happening to me, as if these are my words, as this is the first time these words are coming out of my mouth. You make it real. You are truthful under these imaginary circumstances. That's what it is. That's what it's all about. I know it sounds simplistic, but to be honest, it is. And once you realize that, and once you realize what is so important and what makes you believable, you're going to relax and you're going to even get better. You continue to get better. So understand that overanalyzing the role kills your instincts. Planning, okay, how's he going to hold his hand when he says this? How's his eye going to be when he says that? How's she going to push her hair back over her ear when she does this? Those are things that you don't need to plan. You don't need to be analyzing that and thinking about that. You want to live truthfully in these imaginary circumstances. And again, the only way you're going to get good at this is practice. You're going to need to find other actors and actresses that you can work with. Improvise. You don't need to have scripted dialogue always to practice. You can improvise dialogue. You can talk about the scene and both of you know where the scene is going so that you're not just floundering around like a fish on the beach. You need to have a beginning, middle, and end and practice living in the scene and making it real. And improvisation doesn't always have to be wild, wacky comedy. Improvisation can be drama. It can be a boring scene. It can be something that just everyday speak. But you, as an actor or actress, need more time doing those type of scenes so that you can be believable. You can't wait till you get the big part and then think you're going to just jump up there and be believable. Now that happens to some people, but that's the oddity. That's the lightning strike. You have to practice. You have to work at this. This is just like I always say back to my same analogy of an athlete. The athlete that goes through college, goes through high school, goes through college and gets into the pros, they continue to practice. Why? Obviously, they're good. They wouldn't have made it all the way to the pros. But you have to keep working at it. It's a skill. It's something that you don't want to think about it. Because once you start thinking about it, then you're not in the scene. You're not being believable. You're not living truthfully because you're thinking about where do my hands go? Should I cross my legs right now? How does my hair look? Does my nose look too big? Am I overweight? You're not thinking about those things if you are living truthfully under these imaginary circumstances. Okay, let's go to the next one. Emotion is a result, not a goal. If you chase emotion directly, it looks forced. Excuse me. If you chase emotion directly, it looks forced. If you pursue truth, it appears naturally. Okay, what that means is, okay, let's say prime example. You're angry. So you're going to scream wild. Your eyes are going to bug out. You're going to, get in the person's face because that's the only way you think you can show emotion. Emotion can be quiet. You could be fuming at someone and you could deliver that. Like, I can't believe you did that to me. Why would you do that to me? That's anger. Anger doesn't have to be loud and obnoxious and screaming all the time. Sometimes it calls for that, but it doesn't always have to be that. So don't chase those emotions. Don't force those emotions. Learn how to bring those emotions to life with different levels, with different degrees of intensity, with calmness. You can be angry and whisper. You can be angry and speak at a normal tone. If that feeling is truly coming from you, We as the audience will see it. We'll see it on your face. We'll see it on your eyes. And you have to believe that. And the only way you get to believe that is to practice and do it. This is a career, acting and actresses. Uh, you want to be in this business. This is a career where you have to do it. You want to understand what's behind it. You want to understand why the character, what their motivation is, why they're doing something, why they're saying something, why they're here at this moment. You want to understand all that. But once you're in the scene, truth is what matters. Truth is what the camera will see. Truth is what the audience will see. And that's what you want to bring to the forefront. You're not thinking about where this character went to school when you're responding to something that was just said to you. You're not thinking about how this character was abused by his parents when you're responding and listening to the other character. That stuff is in there. And that stuff will come out if you can live truthfully. Living truthfully is the key. So keep that in mind. Keep that in mind. I know if you're brand new to this, it sounds like you know, foreign language. How do I do it? How do I live truthfully? I always tell people to think back to maybe a conversation that you had with maybe your mother, your father, your sister, brother, somebody, maybe in a serious situation, and think about what you did and how you responded, and how you responded when they said something that hurt you, how you responded when they said something that pumped you up. You didn't plan that. You were living truthfully because you knew the character. You are the character. You knew what the character would say. You knew how those words were going to affect them because you were really listening. That's the level of intensity that makes an actor or an actress great. That's the level of believability that we all strive for. We all strive as an actor or an actress to be believable, to bring this level of this is happening right now. This is real. This is the only thing that's real. And that takes practice. That takes practice. And you have to block everything else out. You only are there in that moment delivering those lines to the people in the scene with you. And this is a real world situation. To you, at that moment, this is real. That's where you need to get to. That's where you need to get to where you're not thinking, I'm acting. This is a scene. You need to make that real. And it's a skill, it's a talent. It's something that doesn't come, overnight. You have to build that to that. You have to do it. That's why I say, do stuff on your own. If you don't have anybody to practice with, say lines into the camera, improvise into the camera, do dialogue, monologues, learn them, say them into the camera, and then review them and look at yourself critically and see, am I believable? Because one thing I like to say all the time is if you're watching yourself and you don't believe it, it looks fake to you, then you can be damn sure it's not going to be believable to anyone watching. So get that into your mind. The bottom line of all of this is simplicity in acting, making it simple, making it look like. That's why when you see great actors on television series, movies, film, whatever, it just seems so simple. When you're starting out, you say, that looks simple. I can do that. They're just being themselves. And a lot of times the truth is they are just being themselves. People wonder why some actors play the same role all the time because that is their strong point. That is their wheelhouse. That is where they can bring those characters to life because the characters are very close to who they really are. And that's what you have to realize. There are a few actors that have such a range that they can play almost any character. You slap some makeup on them and you can't tell who they are, and they can bring that character to life. Everybody can't do that, just like everybody is not the top performing athlete. Everybody is not the top baseball player or the top uh, football player or the top basketball player. You have different levels. Find your mindset, find your skill level, and work in it, revel in it. enjoy that you have the opportunity to bring that character to life. And if these are the type of characters that people want you to play those characters and bring those characters to life. Don't say, "Oh, I don't want to be typecast." That's bull. If you look like a certain type of character, you are going to be believable in that character. You look at some famous actors that you know who try to come out of their character and they'll try to, okay, I can do comedy, I can play a bad guy, I can play, whatever. You see a lot of it where they try to go to comedy or they try to uh, play a character who is completely not unlike them. And this, I'm talking about recognizable A-list actors. I'm not going to pull out any names because there's no need to do that because we all know what I'm talking about, and they are not believable in those roles where they, oh, I always wanted to play the thug, or I always wanted to play the hardcore spy, or the dirty criminal who's an alcoholic and a drug addict, but he turns his life around. And they don't look anything like that character. They don't have the mannerisms. They don't have the believability to bring those characters to life. Everybody can't play every role. I know actors like to think that. I know they like to think, "Oh, I'm so talented, I can play any role." You can't. You can't because it's not believable. They may pay you to do it. They may put you in the movie, they put the movie out, and the movie sucks. And you got paid lots of millions to do it, but it's not believable. And you inside know it's not believable because you know what your strong points are. As an actor or an actress, you always know what your strong points are. And that's probably what propelled you to A-list talent because there is some type of character that you can easily make believable. And it's strong and it's powerful and it's compelling. It's why we like you. And when you start trying to go too far outside of your wheelhouse, you don't have that reach. You don't have that range. So that's something down the line for new actors. But just want you to know that what you're trying to do, you're trying to take these lines that they've given you and bring them into yourself and be believable, be truthful, live truthful, live truthfully under these imaginary circumstances. That's what you're trying to do. And you're going to bring that through yourself because it's coming out of your body, it's coming out of you, it's coming out of your character, and it's going to be part of you in there. And you have to use that to make it believable. That's the key. That is the key. All right, what's the next one? Let's see, where am I at here? Let me move my list up a little bit. Let's see, where's my mouse? Okay, here we go. This is one I really like. The simplest choice is often the strongest. Big gestures, dramatic flourishes rarely beat a quiet reaction, honest reaction, a real reaction. Unless your character is really big and it's written that way where he's over the top, then most of the time you're going to be what they say in the business grounded. You're going to be real. You're going to be everyday. You're not going to be screaming and attacking and hostile and gigantic, big gestures over the top. Most of the time, you're not going to do that. Most of the time, the dialogue is real. It's grounded. It's down to earth, as they say. And when they say that, what they mean by that is just normal everyday speak. Like when you go into the supermarket and you hello to the clerk, or you ask somebody in the store, "Can you tell me where the eggs are? Can you show me where the milk is?" You're not making it big and broad and grandiose. You're just being real. Or you're talking to your friend on the cell phone. You're just talking. You're relaxed, you're calm, you're natural, you're believable. That's the goal of most scenes. Now you do have your scenes where obviously there's drama and there's intrigue and there's action or whatever, depending upon what the project is. And that's when things get bigger. That was when things get intense. But most of the time, it's realistic, grounded, naturalistic style acting. And that's how we are in real life. So that's why they say live truthfully, because in truth, you're being yourself, a version of yourself, because you're bringing that character to life. You're not truthfully that really that character, but you're giving that character life in this project. And you want to be truthful in this scene. And when that scene starts and the director says action, nothing else in your real life is going on anymore. It's on hold, it's on pause, because you are bringing this character to life. You're living truthfully under these imaginary circumstances. You make these imaginary circumstances real for that moment when the director, I'm talking about film and television, when they say action, you're going to take a beat and then you're going to do whatever the scene requires. And at that moment, while you're speaking, you're walking, you're talking, nothing else is happening. Now, over the years, I've made mistakes, obviously. I'm thinking about things in the scene that I shouldn't be thinking about. And when they say action, I'm doing the scene, but I'm not really living in the scene at that moment. I've done that a couple of times, things are going on. They give you last minute directions and instructions, and it kind of throws you off a little bit. But as you get more experience, you'll get used to incorporating whatever the action is, whether the physical action that has to be done for the scene to move forward, you can incorporate that into the dialogue and marble it right in, just like you would do in real life. If you're driving your car and then all of a sudden everything's going smooth, you're driving down the freeway and the wind is blowing, it's a nice sunny day, you got the windows down, the music playing, and then all of a sudden up ahead of you, you see two cars hit each other. You're going to react. You're going to probably pull to the left or pull to the right. You're going to instantly look to see what your options are, and you're going to make that decision. That's how reacting and listening and living truthfully under these imaginary circumstances happen in acting. And that's how you want it to happen. And that only comes with practice, with doing it and doing it so that you're not thinking about it. I love that analogy of driving a car because that's how we've been driving for years. I've been driving for 50 years. And you don't really think about it. You don't think about where the gas is or the brake is. You don't think about if you see an accident ahead of you down the road, what you're going to do, but you just naturally move on instinct. And that's where you want to get with your acting. You want to be listening to the other actor and they say something, you want to react based on what they said and how they said it. Because at that moment, you are the character. That's the skill level you need to get at. You need to react and bring it to life like it's real. That's basically the goal of this whole section. Learning to be alive in these scenes and bringing those scenes to life. Living truthfully under these imaginary circumstances. Those are powerful words for an actor or an actress. And you need to understand that and have that embedded in you so that you know what's required. You have your lines, you know them. That's something that the real you is doing. You learn those lines however you learn them. We're not going to talk about that in this video. I might talk a bit in some other videos down the line about learning dialogue, but right now you have the dialogue. And so you're not thinking about what I'm going to say next because you know what you're going to say next. And it's going to come out as if it's the first time you're saying it. That's what makes it so powerful. That's what makes it so believable. That's when you're really truthfully living. That's when you're really living truthfully under these imaginary circumstances. Because when you say something, you say it as if it's coming out for the very first time. Just like I did that sentence right there. I didn't prepare that sentence. The way I work in these videos, right over here to my left, I have my talking points. That keeps me on track. I look at those and then I talk about that topic to you. And hopefully you get some information out of it. But this isn't planned as if I'm reading a teleprompter. I'm delivering truthful information that I truly believe to you in this video so that you can look at it. And some of it out in here will be helpful. Different parts may be helpful to different people. They may require you to go online and get further learning. That's one thing I recommend too. If you find a little bit of a nugget of something I say in here, go find out more because everything I talk about is in our vast area of knowledge, which is now on the internet. So I'm going to end this one now. I like to keep these around 25, 30 minutes. This one's about 30 minutes. And I will join you again. Thanks for joining me today. I appreciate it. Go to my channel. In the description below, you'll see some links to my channel. Go check out some of my playlists. I appreciate that. Helps me build up those watch hours. And we're going to I enjoy it, sharing this information with you that I've gained over the last 35, 40 years. And I will continue to do it. I will see you, ladies and gentlemen, in the next one. Thank you.